that they use remote viewers, but the writing's on the wall of, Lou Elizondo has admitted he was connected with remote viewing, and, he's brand new on the scene of, running ATIP and for the Pentagon, the UFO stuff. Like, he was one of those guys. It's like, well, you guys are denying that this existed, yet here's another guy who's in the mix.
Aren't the studies are released, though?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that got released, and they put out a documentary about remote viewing that was called Third Eye Spies, and that was with Russell Targ, who partnered with Hal Puthoff to put that whole program together for the government, to put some science behind it, because they really needed a good program to be able to say, okay, we're going to do this double blind. We're going to make sure that there's no interference. We want to make sure that the data that we're giving through these remote viewings is accurate, that it's useful. And so he got a lot of stuff declassified so that he could talk about it. And then they turned it into that documentary. And that's how I got tuned into the idea of Joe McMoneagle, who's a teacher at the remote viewing program at Monroe Institute, and who has just a storied existence of successes in remote viewing for the military and special operations forces and National Security Council. And they gave him the Legion of Merit regarding his ability to sit in his house in Virginia and tell you what's going on inside a Russian facility underground somewhere in the tundra of northern Russia.
Man.
And he was right.
This stuff is, this stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff that people, they can't wrap their head around it. And it's all coming out now that everything you thought was bullshit is turning out to be 100% real, and our own government is utilizing this stuff and has been for decades.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do an entirely separate episode on remote viewing in the Monroe Institute. You also are a coach of mind mastery and emotional intelligence for corporate executives. You have 1.5 million subscribers on TikTok. What is your handle on TikTok?
It's Mind Hacking Happiness.
Mind Hacking Happiness. Go check them out on TikTok. And you're working to forward the development of artificial compassion for computer systems, which might just save us from the runaway AI.
Let's hope.
So we got a lot to dive into.
Yeah.
Before we dive into it.
Oh, nice. I got the gummy bears. Holy cow.
Hold on. How do you know?
Because the other guests
you watch
are all
the show.
Yeah, I do. I love these episodes, man. You're fucking killing it, by the way. I got you again.
Oh, thank you.
So I made that up for me, and my wife barely lets me wear it, but that's I thought that fit for you too.
I could use this. I could definitely use this. Thank you.
Yeah,
I can love you without reacting to your mental nonsense.
Yeah.
I got to work on that.
My wife made me change the word bullshit to nonsense.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And just so you know, those gummy bears are legal in all 50 states. You can drive anywhere with them, fly anywhere with them.
Nice.
And not worry about getting arrested.
Awesome.
Although the other kinds are, those are fun too.
Yeah.
So, but, well, Shawn, how did you go from this high-tech job, you're in a Fortune 100 company making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you pretty much gave that all up to study human consciousness.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, it was in that world of being in high tech that, I got a lot of success early on. And I was making a bunch of money, and I was a single dude, pretty girlfriend, great friends. Like, my life was full of the right answers. And so I just purchased a house on a double lot in Atlanta at the age of 27 by myself, no co-signers, like just, balling. And I'd filled it with, a bunch of cool stuff and gloss black piano and all this, weight set and all this stuff that I wanted when I was younger, because I grew up in poverty. And then all of a sudden, it turned out I was a little talented in tech. And then the money just started flowing because, I was working for a supercomputing company, and and it was just that they're $1 million computers. So when you sell some of those things and you work on them, you get paid a lot of money. And like at some point we'll have to talk about how I was shipping computers to Area 51. That was a cool little job. But I was on the front porch of this house, and I was looking out across the extra lot that I had, and I was like, okay, so I've got all this stuff, and I got friends coming over. I'm waiting for the installers for the stereo system that are coming to put the stuff in so we can have this big party at my house. And I'm like, all right, well, so what's next? And something about that, because I was thinking about maybe putting a gazebo or something out in the side yard or whatever and wiring it up for sound, but that was what I was thinking about. And I was like, wait a second, hold on. I went from food stamps and living in a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house in rural Indiana, and 10 years later, where, I was poor as shit, I'm on the other side of the coin, making good income, success from, an American dream perspective. It's like I got everything. There's no wrong answer. It's like I'm not unfulfilled. I feel like I have a good relationship with God. There's nothing really missing for me. Yet here I am with all the things that I was ever told that I should have for happiness. And I'm already looking for what's next. And something in my mind clicked. It's like, wait a second, you're not happy with all of this stuff? It's like, where's the finish line going to be? Like, what is it going to be that finally says, okay, I'm good, I'm done? And I started to analyze it, and then I started to read a little bit about, psychology and whatnot. And it was like, there's going to be no stopping point. There's this thing called a hedonic treadmill where, and it's a part of the the part of the nervous system, not the immune system, but the nervous system where like your nervous system reports the differences in things. Like you smell a scent for the first 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden you don't smell it anymore because let's say you wake up in the middle of the night and the gas is on and you smell it. Well, it woke you up because it went from low to high, and it alerted you and said, okay, there's a big difference in the gas smell. But then after 10 minutes, it goes from high to high, and it stops reporting on the difference of things, right? And you got to get out of the house. That's why the firemen say, get out of the house if you smell gas, because you won't smell it for very long, but it'll kill you. Because your nervous system only measures the differences in things. And so in reality, what that does to our life is when we start making financial accumulation and the brand new car is really cool for the first few months that you're driving it, and then all of a sudden it gets to be old hat. That's your nervous system normalizing to the things that you've attained already in life. And then you start looking for what's the difference? How can I get more? And that never stops. And that's why these billionaires are always looking to pile more money on top, more success, more businesses, more accolades, right? Oh, I'm not the richest man in the world yet. Let's do that, right? Mm-hmm. And they're chasing because the nervous system always normalizes to what you have. And so that's what was going on in my mind that I was just learning about. It was like, I've got all this stuff. What's next? And I was like, if I follow this pattern, I'm going to be chasing that my whole life.
That's interesting you say that. I am coming to that. I've come to that realization that it's all just shit.
Yeah.
It is all just shit.
Yeah.
And if you let that shit get to you, it you're just feeding and creating a monster.
Yeah.
It's greed.
Yeah. Most definitely.
It's greed.
So I started looking for more. I was like, okay, what is it that I'm missing about my internal sense of who I am and what I want in life, et cetera. And I started to do some reading on global religions, trying to figure out, is there something I missed in my religion that maybe, there's some other answers that I need to, or what could be commonalities that could be brought into my existence that could maybe illuminate me into something else that I need to be doing, et cetera. And I found some patterns of commonalities in religion, which were really interesting. But then I read a book on T. Suzuki's Introduction to Zen. And I learned about meditation, which was a foreign idea to me at the time because, I grew up Christian and I went to church. I was president of the youth group for 4 years. I was like in it. And at that point, I started to understand that there was this thing called Satori. And I didn't know what that was. It's just a word for their explanation about a moment of perfection that allows you to understand absolutely everything.
I want to tell you all about this new meat delivery service I found called Moink. What I really like about Moink is they are from a small rural farm town in Missouri, LaBelle, Missouri, right by where I grew up, and I love supporting small town business USA. Now, when I started looking into Moink, they educated me on the meat industry, and I want to share with you all a couple of facts, according to Moinked magazine. 60% of all pork is produced by one company in the US, and that is 100% owned by the Chinese. 4 companies control over 80% of the meat industry in the United States. More than 10,000 different additives are allowed in the U.S. food supply. 99% of chicken, 95% of hogs, 78% of cattle in the U.S. are raised in confinement buildings or feedlots. It means they're not moving around freely. 80% of the